In a solution we were working through, we've actually been working through this solution for a number of different customers lately. We have this cool new invoice object, right? Which is great because we can automatically generate these invoices for QuickBooks. But what if you are not using HubSpot payment? This can happen for a number of reasons, right? Number one, maybe your company isn't based in the United States. You don't want to, accept your payments in US dollars, use a US bank account. And so HubSpot payments isn't available for you. Or maybe you're bringing your deals in through an e-commerce tool and you don't want to set up your e-commerce inside of HubSpot for whatever reason, right? Okay. So then let's say we want to create an invoice for something that is recurring, a subscription, right? So we have, again, a recurring service and we're not using payments and subscriptions in HubSpot, either because we're piping it in through e-commerce or you don't have a US-based business. So how should we do this, right? All right. So here's what we figured out here, a nice little workflow. This workflow is going to be a deal-based workflow, right? So first we're going to go ahead and set up our triggers. So the triggers that I chose is that a term is known. That way we're only enrolling deals where they actually have a term set up. Now, the term doesn't have to be known. What we can really do is just have a billing frequency, and that can be what we use, right? So we can create, basically, this is just to show you, we can say term is known, that it's a fixed number of payments, or it is an automatically renewed until canceled. So we could include both of those, or we could choose one or the other. And we might need multiple workflows to match the frequency of billing or the different term options that we have. This one we can say number of payments is equal to 6. So if we want to have a workflow for only people who have 6 months subscription. So, right, it depends on how your product works. Do people subscribe for a certain period? Do they subscribe until they cancel? So in this instance, let's say they subscribe until they cancel, right? And then what we're going to say is we're going to say that the billing frequency, this one we're going to say for monthly, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say save, and then we're going to go ahead and we are going to have we're going to go ahead and create an invoice. And so we're going to choose a value. That's going to be our account. The churn, let's say it's net 14. The customer is going to be the first associated HubSpot contact. We're going to use the same line items and create a product in QuickBooks if it doesn't exist. Okay. And we're going to say it's sales. Sorry, here we go. So now what we're going to do is right away, when this happens, we're going to create an invoice. I'm going to send it to QuickBooks. Now, it's not going to send it to the customer automatically. So you're going to need to have a process. So what we could do after this is create a task, okay? Or within QuickBooks, there are some automations you can use as well. And then what do? We delay for 30 days. We send another invoice. We delay for 30 days. We send another invoice, right? So what we could do is we could continue to do this. Or another option that we have is we could go ahead and have an if-then bridge every 30 days and make sure that the subscription hasn't been canceled so that we don't continue to send invoices if somebody has actually canceled their recurring payment, right? So if we want to do that, so what we're going to go ahead and do here, let's say it's e-commerce, right? So we can have stages for this in our pipelines so that we make sure that we can manage it. But let's say that it's like refunded or canceled, right? So then what we're going to do is we're going to say cancel, right? So that's going to be branch number 1, and we're going to apply that filter. And our filter is going to be not canceled, right? And there are a lot of different variations and variables, obviously, that we can control here for. But let's say that the deal stage is still in completed. Okay, so then we know that it's still running and that we're still invoicing. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to save, and we're going to move everything under the not canceled branch, right? So if it's not canceled, we're going to keep invoicing. Now, of course, what do we do? You guessed it. We can go ahead and we can take these, we can clone this and all of them after it. And we can go ahead and we would actually have to do this before we create all the repeated ones. But what we would do is after each 30 days, we would do that branch again to make sure that it hadn't been canceled. Okay. And then there are more complex things that we can do here, right? Because we don't want to move the entire deal and everything that has been paid historically into the canceled column because we want to recognize the revenue that we've received. So that's a whole different workflow. But basically what this is covering is how are we going to generate invoices automatically on subscriptions if we are not using the subscription object in HubSpot? Because again, if we use the subscription object in HubSpot, you have to use the HubSpot payment. So when it's just a line item that has recurring payments and terms, how are we going to go ahead and use this whole new invoicing object that we have in HubSpot that's currently only working with QuickBooks Online to generate those invoices automatically. I save some time.